Tens of thousands protest in Indonesia against U.S. Jerusalem move. Tens of thousands of people in Indonesia protested on Sunday against U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the latest show of support for the Palestinians in the country with the world's largest Muslim population. Meanwhile, that any change to the status of Jerusalem, a city considered holy by Muslims, Christians and Jews, will have no legal effect and must be reversed. Indonesia's top Islamic authority, Indonesian Ulama Council, supported by the government and a number of other Islamic organizations, organized the rally, where 80,000 protesters gathered at the National Monument waving the Palestinian flag and banners reading "Free Palestine." "This is my solidarity as a Muslim to my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, a historical mosque for Muslims, is there, in Jerusalem," said Hermawati, from the nearby city of Bogor, who like many Indonesians goes by one name, reported the Agence France Presse. The demonstrators, most of whom were dressed in white, were demanding that the U.S. change its decision. Indonesian government officials were among those at the protest site just a few meters from the U.S. Embassy, which was cordoned off behind coils of razor wire. Isn't it the government's job to work on the aspiration of the majority of Indonesians? And the government has tried its best so Palestine can achieve its rights and independence, Religious Affairs Minister Lukman Hakim Saifuddin said at the rally. Indonesia has condemned Mr. Trump's decision, with President Joko Widodo joining other world Islamic leaders last Wednesday in an emergency summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, in Istanbul. Even though the protest was peaceful, rows of police behind coils of barbed wire held back the crowd outside the U.S. Embassy. About 20,000 security personnel were at the rally, a police spokesman said, according to Reuters. "We urge all countries to reject the unilateral and illegal decision of President Donald Trump to make Jerusalem Israel's capital," Anwar Abbas, the Secretary-General of the Indonesian Ulama Council, told the crowd. "We call on all Indonesian people to boycott U.S. and Israel products in this country if Mr. Trump does reverse his decision," Mr. Abbas said, reading from a petition, which is intended to be handed over to the U.S. ambassador in Indonesia. The leaders urged world powers to recognize occupied East Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Palestine and declared Mr. Trump's decision null and void legally. The status of the Holy City is a sensitive issue in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, in which Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said the U.S. has no role if it does not reverse its Jerusalem decision. Egypt circulated a UN draft text on the Jerusalem issue on Saturday, and diplomats said the council could vote on the proposed measure as early as Monday. The draft resolution obtained by AFP stresses that Jerusalem is an issue to be resolved through negotiations and expresses deep regret at recent decisions concerning the status of Jerusalem, without specifically mentioning Mr. Trump's move, which sparked outrages and protests across the Middle East. Any decisions and actions which purport to have altered the character, status or demographic composition of the Holy City of Jerusalem have no legal effect, are null and void and must be rescinded, it said. Diplomats said they expected the U.S. to use its veto power to block the measure while most, if not all, of the 14 other council members were expected to back the draft resolution.